Well, it's raining, as you can hear, and probably see off the back porch here as well. And what that means is it's time to talk more about waterproofing. And I have to tell you that this is one of those subjects that people with homes who have basements or crawl spaces, oh man, it just makes them so nervous. No one wants water coming into their house, right? Well, let's talk about sources for a minute. So there are a few different places that water can come in to a house. One is surface water, and that would be the water that's coming off of the roof, like so, dripping down onto the ground, percolating down. Okay? Then there's the water that has already gotten down into the ground, and as you can see right here, is puddling, beginning to puddle. Well, you can't really tell it here, but we've talked about this before. This grade does slope down, so this house is okay as far as grading is concerned. But the problem is the water does percolate down into the ground, and it wants to get into the crawl space. This is a house with a crawl space, and it wants to get into that crawl space. So the black paint that you see there on the lower part of the foundation is waterproofing to keep water from coming in through that foundation wall, because a foundation wall is basically a hard sponge and it does allow water in. Then there's one last source of water, other than plumbing, we're eliminating plumbing, and that is groundwater. Now, surface water eventually gets down into the ground, or snow, or whatever the source of water is from the sky. It gets down in the ground and eventually works its way back up underneath the foundation, the basement, the crawl space. That is called groundwater. And that groundwater, when we have storms like this that may last for a few days, that groundwater just begins to work its way back up and become a water table that is higher than it normally is. And that is often where water gets into basements or crawl spaces. It comes in from underneath, and it may seem like a mysterious puddle in the crawl space. How did that water get there? I don't have any plumbing leaks. How could that happen? Well, groundwater does work its way to a certain level, and as more of this type of rain occurs over several days, or maybe even several weeks, the water table begins to rise. And so even though you have the foundation waterproof, you have water coming in up underneath that foundation. Now in a basement, if it's groundwater, usually your moldings will appear like they're leaking or something if the basement is finished. Or you'll find puddles on the concrete floor in an unfinished basement. Something like that. Or if you have an unfinished basement, you might get some weeping through the walls, which is the water coming through the foundation wall. All the classes in Foundation Repair Academy on waterproofing have examples of this. I can't do it in my videos really. But anyway, so that's a little bit more to talk about there. There are some other places where basements get wet. You might get some discoloration if it's a finished basement. You might get some discoloration in the walls, or in the moldings, or in the carpet, or you might get that damp smell, or you might pull that sofa away from the wall of the TV room down in the basement and shoot, it's moist. Why is it moist? Because groundwater is coming up from underneath. Now, of course, there's plumbing leaks and other things that could be occurring for water, but for the most part, those are not concerning because those are one-time events. You get those fixed, you have the plumber come out and fix it, and then you move on and do something else. But water, groundwater, and these other types of water must be fixed. You cannot stay in a wet basement or stay with a wet crawl space on an ongoing basis because it causes mold and it causes organic growth and it eats building materials. It can be very detrimental to the structure of a house. So make sure that you get those things checked out.